Right now in the United States, the average wedding is over $35,000. While I understand wanting your wedding day to be memorable and meaningful, going into debt for one special day is not the way to start off your marriage. The good news is you don't have to spend a lot to have that beautiful wedding day. This episode, we're going to talk about how to plan your dream wedding on a budget. Welcome to the Couple Money Podcast, the show where we share stories and advice on building up your marriage and wealth together. I'm Elle Martinez. Support for this podcast comes from Jumpstart Your Marriage and Your Money Masterclass. This course is designed to help you two get on the same page with money, dump your debt faster, and get you on the path to financial freedom. Sign up for the class today and get lifetime access. Just head over to couplemoney.com/jumpstart. A wedding, like a marriage, is very personal. For some, it's something they planned and dreamed for years, while others are looking for a very laid-back and casual affair. It's a celebration and a promise that you two make to each other in front of your loved ones. Depending on the wedding you have, there can be plenty of moving parts, which can be overwhelming and stressful. Thankfully, Jessica Bishop, the budget-savvy bride, is here to help. Today, we're discussing defining your dream wedding, ways you can splurge on the details that matter most to you, and where you can save, and a handy resource to help you plan, track, and organize everything for your dream wedding without breaking your budget. For Jessica, learning the ins and outs of wedding planning came out of her and her husband's personal experience when they were getting married.
What I do for a living now, didn't really exist at the time. I was a little girl dreaming about my career. The way I kind of got to where I am now is I was, dating my long-term boyfriend, and we got engaged and, dove headfirst into the world of planning our wedding. And it was 2008, which, as we all know, was the recession in the States. And so both sets of parents were kind of in precarious financial situations, some job loss issues and things like that. And so our families couldn't contribute maybe the way that they would have liked to towards the wedding plans. And my fiance and I, at the time, we were fresh out of school, working very entry-level jobs. And so we were kind of, penny pinching ourselves. And so we were like, how are we going to have this wedding? We want to get married. We want to be able to have all of the people who mean the most to us there. How do we do this in a way that feels good to us and that we're proud to celebrate, but also while sticking to our budget and not overextending ourselves? Because one of the big things was we knew we didn't want to take on debt to pay for the wedding day. I feel really strongly about not overextending to pay for a wedding. And so I really started the blog as a way to kind of keep track of my own ideas and inspiration along the way, and maybe kind of share some tips that I was coming up with, and really just kind of grew from there. And I think it was kind of the right place, the right time with the recession and a lot of people going through similar situations, to add to the necessity of being budget savvy while we were planning. We both ended up getting laid off from our jobs. So then it was even more.
That's a lot of pressure.
It was a lot of pressure, but we made it work. We pulled it off. We made it happen, and was really proud of how everything came together, and also that we were able to do it without, like I said, taking on any debt.
Okay, so you're listening to this and you're thinking, I would love to save money, but I'm afraid that if I'm trying to cut corners and stick with this budget, that my special day is going to look, well, let's be honest, you're worried it's going to look cheap. But if you check out Jessica's site, The Budget Savvy Bride, and look at her Instagram feed, you will quickly see she has an eye for design. And for couples that are looking to have the best of both worlds, to have that special day while still avoiding debt, it does take some work. It takes some creativity, and it takes some meaningful conversations together. And that can be a great thing for your marriage.
And definitely, I think, planning a wedding can be such a great kind of practice run for managing finances together with your partner. Obviously, when you get married, things kind of change, and you have to, learn how to compromise and prioritize together and tackle things with shared goals. So a wedding is a kind of great practice round to kind of hone in on those money management skills together as a couple.
And like Jessica mentioned, those conversations about priorities can really help you not only for your wedding, but for your life. I know for most couples, their wedding day is a special milestone, but they got so many other dreams. And so when you are planning your wedding, see how it fits in with your dreams.
Aside from planning the wedding was, to get our first home together. And so we knew that we wanted to save up for a down payment on a home. And, both of us had student loans. And so getting those paid off in a timely manner was also a priority for us. So we didn't want to add to, obviously, the debt that we had with the wedding. And so we just knew, we kind of came to a figure that we felt comfortable, like we're not going to spend more than this. And that's kind of how we tackled it based on, those priorities.
And when you guys sit down and talk about your big picture, the goals you guys want to accomplish together, it gives you perspective and it makes planning your wedding day a lot easier because then you can figure out what your priorities are.
I think our biggest focus was that we had a really strong, close-knit group of friends, and we wanted to be able to include all of them and have them there. We also have, semi-large families. And so really the goal was to be able to have as many of those people there who were important to us to celebrate and just like feeling that like sense of community as we were beginning our marriage. And so I would say that being able to accommodate all the guests that we wanted was definitely a big goal for us.
Since a wedding and reception has so many different parts, you're talking venue, guest list, decor, food, entertainment, taking care of the wedding party. There's a lot of things going on. It really does pay to have a discussion, have actually several conversations on the things that matter. What do you want to do for your wedding? What does the dream wedding look like? What are the details that you're focusing on? And for those things that matter most to you, go ahead and spend your money there. And for things that aren't as big of a deal, it's okay to cut corners, trim back, get a little creative on those.
So we kind of, sat down and made our list of what was kind of most important to us. My husband is, a bit of a foodie. So like he wanted to definitely have good food. He was pretty adamant. I don't want to say adamant because that sounds like angry, but he was passionate about being able to serve them like a full meal. He didn't want to just do like the little bites, appetizer kind of thing. That was definitely an area of focus for us. For me, obviously, I think I was really passionate about the photography. I wanted to make sure we had great photos to remember the day with. And so I knew I wanted to hire a professional photographer whose work that I really liked. And so I would say those were probably the two biggest priorities for us. And we, kind of allocated our budget accordingly for those priorities. So we definitely got the typical line item list. There's a list actually in the book of like all the typical items and vendors and, aspects of a wedding to kind of decide what matters to you and what doesn't. I think for us, one of the areas that we chose to save in was kind of wedding entertainment. Not to discount the hard work and expertise of a professional wedding DJ, but for us, we knew that that was something we could tackle ourselves. We didn't feel the need to hire someone to play music at the reception. We opted to just set up a playlist on iTunes and run it through a speaker system that we borrowed from one of our groomsmen. And that for us was a great solution because it wasn't a huge priority. We are pretty laid back people. We didn't need the whole pomp and circumstance of like introductions of the bridal party or like any of that. Yeah. It wasn't important to us. And that's just personal choice. It's personal preferences. So for us, that was something that wasn't a priority. And so we chose to do that ourselves and save money, and probably saved us between $500 and $1,000, which we were then able to allocate to other areas of the wedding that were more important to us. I think it's so important. Communication, obviously, you'll hear it a million times, probably in your premarital counseling and beyond, in relationships and in a marriage, especially, like communication is so important. And so having these conversations, I think, is key, whether you're planning your wedding or, making other life choices together. And so I really thought about that a lot when putting together the questions to kind of generate those discussions. I'm glad to be able to share information and tips to help couples navigate the process because it can be a bit overwhelming.
thanks to Jessica for being a part of the show. If you're getting married or you have friends who are engaged, please grab the Budget Savvy Wedding Planner and Organizer. It's a great gift. It's out on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and more. And since you're out there buying a book, you can also add Jumpstart Your Marriage and Your Money for a nice 1-2 combo. Just make sure you get something off the registry. As always, I'll have all the info, detail, and resources in the show notes. It's over at couplemoney.com/wedding. And if you want to stay on top of everything, the podcast, videos, articles, make sure you're subscribed to the community. I send out weekly updates on everything we release, as well as some behind the scene and exclusive stuff. And it's free. Just head over to couplemoney.com/join. Our theme song was written and performed by Gentle Regime. Additional music by Lee Rosevere and Music for Makers. I hope you have a great week. Take care.